Hello, everybody. We are here, okay, and we are going over, as you see on the screen, Genesis chapter 40. And it came to pass after basically after these things happened, that offended the cupbearer. So that would basically be like the cup holder, okay, the drink holder. So in this particular place, this would be a butler of sorts that would just be solely in charge of holding the cup as far as I know. But let's go look and see if I'm right. Okay, so let's look at the job of a cupbearer. Okay, in the Bible, a cupbearer was a high-ranking official whose primary duty was to protect the king. So protection. So very not just like, hey, you're my servant, give me something to drink, but literally his job was to protect the king by tasting all drinks before they were served to ensure that they were not poisoned. Now, this meant that he had a huge job because if someone did want to poison the king, that cupbearer would be gone very quickly. This role required immense trust and granted the cupbearer a position of high influence and close proximity to the king, allowing them to sometimes advise and even intercede on the king's behalf. Okay, so first job, safeguarding the king. It was your job to drink the drink, to test to see if it was poison. Okay, it could literally cost the cupbearer their life if the drink did happen to be poisoned. So, oh, this person wants to offer the king a drink. Okay, let me taste it. Let me test it. Oh, okay, it's poison. Oh, now I'm dead. So but that was his job. Uh, Due to the nature of his job, meaning really just to drink the cup before the king did, the cupbearer had a highly trusted and maintained a very close relationship with the king, often being very present in much of the king's most private moments. The intimate access was granted to the cupbearer often to them as a position of significant political influence. Right? So Joseph, he became the chief cupbearer. So even Joseph had that job to the Pharaoh after interpreting the dreams of both himself and the baker. Okay? Nehemiah was a cupbearer as well. So you see the context. Okay? So let's jump back to the thing. Now we have the cupbearer of the king of Egypt and the baker. Now that would be an actual baker, like let me cook foods. Okay. Their lord, the king of Egypt. So in other words, they offended him in some sort of way. It doesn't say how they offended. It just says they offended him. They made him upset. And was angry the Pharaoh with two of his officers upon chief the cupbearer and chief baker. So basically, the head cupbearer and the head baker. Now that would signify, uh, at least in the context. So this either has one of two contexts. Okay, based on the wording, this is either that. So let's look at the chief, prince, ruler, chieftain. Okay, cupbearer, pharaoh with two of his. Yeah, so this would be the head cupbearer, which means he had multiple cupbearers, and he also had multiple bakers. From the context I'm getting anyway. So he put them custody in custody in the house. So basically jailed them of the captain of the guard in the house, the prison place where Joseph was. So they just so happened to be placed in the same place that Joseph was placed in. Okay, with them, and he served them. So they were a while in custody. So who served who? Joseph served them. Okay, Joseph served the cupbearer. Like, I want to edify you. I want to help you, kind of thing. So they were in custody and had a dream. The two of them, each man's dream in night one, and each man with his own interpretation. The dream, the cupbearer, and the baker. Who? Of the king of Egypt. So who was there? Joseph. right? The king bearer, the cupbearer, and the baker, right? So they were there, and one night, two of them, each man's dream. So basically, two of them had a dream with its interpretation, right? Who and the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison, right? So that would be the baker and the cupbearer of the kingdom, right? These guys right here, right? The baker and the cupbearer, those were confined. Although it says it this way, the king himself was not confined. So don't read it that way. And came in to them Joseph in the morning, and looked at them and saw that they were sad. So he asked the officers. So basically, to Joseph, noticed in the morning, hey, they're sad. The officers of the Pharaoh, he asked, who were with him in the custody of the house of his Lord, saying, now that's not Lord as that's lowercase Lord, so that would be those in high ranking places above him, saying, why do you look so sad today? And they said to him, a dream we have dreamed, an interpreter there is none. So basically, a dream interpreter. There is none here of it. So said to them Joseph, do not belong to God interpretations. In other words, don't interpretations belong to God? Isn't he the one that gives revelations? Tell them, please, to me. And told the chief cupbearer, his dream to Joseph. Okay, and said to them in my dream, and behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine there was 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, shot forth its blossoms, brought forth its clusters, ripe grapes, and the cup of the Pharaoh was in my hand. And I took the grapes and pressed them into the cup of the Pharaoh, and placed the cup in the hand of the Pharaoh, and said to him, Joseph, this is the interpretation of it. So Joseph reads the interpretation, reads the dream. God reveals to him what the meaning is. So let's look at the meaning. Okay, this is how you interpret a dream. Now, God has helped me to understand that in my own life, right? So there are many things when it comes to dreams. One of them is the feelings you have in the dream. That's one thing. The places you go, the things you do, much actions about a dream really impact the dream. And based on what takes place in the dream, there is much interpretation of what's going on. Okay. The 3 branches are 3 days, right? So 3 branches, 3 days. See, numbers are connected. Okay. Branches are days, right? They are within now 3 days, right? So 3 days. And I would get the reference of that because the guy said in the dream that it sprouted up, right? Which means future tense. Okay. Will lift you up, Pharaoh. Now that would be reference to the cup being placed in his hand, a place of position. What you're doing, basically. Okay. Place of position, it's in your hand, right? And Pharaoh will raise your head, restore you to the place, basically to the place, and will put the cup of the Pharaoh in your hand. You will be restored according to the manner former when you were his cupbearer, right? For if you remember with me when it is well with you, and show me and show please to me kindness, right? And make mention to the Pharaoh, and get me out of this house, for indeed I was stolen away from the land of Hebrews, right? Of the Hebrews, and also here not have I done anything that I should have been put in the dungeon. Okay. So in other words, let me break it down. Real simple. Okay. They're in the dream. They're in the jail. They get thrown in jail. They upset the king. Oh, away with you, dirty people. Away with you, you offenders. Throw you in the jail. Right? They're in the jail. He wakes up. He goes, yo, guards. Hey, guards, I need your attention. Why are they sad? Right? And he asks them as well. Why are you sad? Right? And they tell him, dude, we had a dream last night. We don't know what it means. We know it has a meaning because we know dreams have a meaning, but we don't know what it means. And basically, Joseph is like, doesn't all knowledge come from God? Isn't it that all knowledge, all understanding comes from Him? Tell your dream to me. Yo, tell me what's up. Tell me what's going on. Okay? Now, I'm just in that mood to kind of break it down in a nowadays version for you. You know what I mean? So, and then he goes, by the way, my buddy, when you're placed back into your position that you lost, when you are placed back in that area, remember me and do kindness to me. Remember me, meaning tell the king all about me, that I have this ability. In other words, benefit me. I did good for you, do good for me. Okay? And he's saying, I'm innocent. I don't deserve to be here. And when the baker, so when the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, then he said to Joseph, also, I was in my dream, and there were 3 baskets of white bread on my head. Okay? So 3 baskets, so I was in a dream. Number 3 again, right? That's synonymous, 3, right? Baskets of white bread on my head. Now, I want you to notice what is taking place in the dreams of the people. Okay? In the dreams of the people, you have, in the first dream, you have gaining back what you didn't have before, right? The cup was placed back in his hand, right? The vines grew back, and there were grapes that grew back, right? So growth, right? Now look at what happens to the stuff in this guy's dream. White baskets were on my head, and in my head, uppermost were all kinds of for the Pharaoh, right? All kinds of bread, works baked, and the birds ate out of them, out of the basket. So whatever it is that I have for the king, it's taken away, right? On my head. So answered Joseph and said, this is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days as well, basically. Within 3 days, we'll lift off Pharaoh, your head, from you, and hang you on a tree. And the birds will eat from your flesh. Wow. So in the dream, right? Now I already knew this, but in the dream, right? Anybody who's read the Bible even once, they know this story because it's a very profound story. There's a movie about it. Pharaoh and no, Joseph and the Coat of Many Colors. It's a Disney movie. Okay. And in the dream, right? This guy, what happens to his stuff that we see above here, right? What happens to this stuff? The birds eat it. So it goes away. It doesn't stay. It doesn't get blessed. It goes away. Okay. Now we have what happens next. And it came to pass on the 3rd day of the birthday of the Pharaoh that he made a feast, a large celebration, day, right? Celebration, feast, day, feast or banquet for all his servants, people that were under him. And he lifted up the head chief, cupbearer. So he's like, let me show blessing. It's my birthday. Let me be kind. Okay? And of the chief of the baker among his servants. And he restored again. So that would be put back to the right place that you were before, right? To turn back the chief cupbearer to his cupbearer ship, meaning his job. And he placed the cup in the hand of the Pharaoh. But the chief baker he hanged, as had interpreted to them Joseph, and yet not did remember. So even though Joseph did this kindness to them, neither one of the one that got hanged, he obviously don't remember because he was done. They did away with him. So there's no way he could even do anything. Even if even if he remembered, it's too late. You're done. You're over. You know, cut off your head and I hang you, right? But the chief cupbearer, he did not remember, but he forgot him, Joseph, meaning he forgot Joseph. Now that's the end of this particular chapter. Not a whole lot going on. Okay, so how do I plug this into your situation? Okay, first of all, we got Joseph in a prison. He didn't do anything. There are going to be times, even though you're God's child, that you're placed in a situation where you are innocent. You didn't deserve it. You didn't do anything wrong. You're listening to God, and something bad happens to you. Some difficulty comes your way. That is part of life. It's part of the learning. And as we know in Scripture, there are multiple verses that show that, right? In all circumstances, celebrate God. Be thankful to God. I'm paraphrasing that verse in my head, but something like celebrate God or praise God or worship God in all circumstances, not just the good ones. Then there's another verse in the New Testament which says something along the lines of, I'm trying to remember it, in your struggles and trials, we know there's purpose. It produces endurance, perseverance, and all these different qualities that you want to have in your life. So even those things are still good to have. Right? So you get the idea. Just like Joseph, there are gonna be times when you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't say anything wrong. You didn't think anything wrong. But somehow something wrong still happens across your path. Right? Now, there are also times in your life, just like the cupbearer and the baker, that you will offend people. You will upset them, right? You will really upset them. And depending on who you upset, it could have grave consequences for your future. This might be something as simple as you upset your mother or your dad and they kick you out of the home. They tell you get lost, right? Maybe not necessarily that way, but they're like, okay, you need to find your own place. You're having difficulty with my rules. You need to find your own place. Okay? Might be something like that. Interpretations come from God. So God can give you the answer to anyone's dreams. He can give you the interpretation and give you that skill. Okay? All right. Sorry. My brain got froze for a second. I forgot that I was on live. I mean, I forgot I was on recording. Anyway, just like with the baker and the cupbearer, you're placed in positions in your life. Okay? You're placed in these specific positions that God has for you. And if you're wondering why my brain fired, it's 12 o'clock at night. I should really have hit this stuff earlier in the day. But I decided not to. I decided to be doing other stuff, and now I got to deal with it at 12 o'clock. I really need to get to sleep. But anyway, um, the cupbearer and the baker are basically reference to you. It's the reference of where God has put you in your life, right? Whatever position He has placed you in, trusting you, right? And depending on what you do with the job that God has for you, either good will happen, you're like the guy with the cupbearer, right? The cupbearer, chief cupbearer. You will be restored. You will find favor, just like Joseph, in when he was in um, the chief captain's house or whatever it was that he was in authority of. Um, everything he touched was blessed, like we learned in Genesis 39, right? Everything that he touched was blessed. It was multiplied, and everyone took note of it, right? So if you do your job and you do the job that you have, and you use it correctly, and you do your job really good, what's going to happen when you have a job and you do it really good? People that are over top of you, they're going to see and they're going to promote you, right? But if you're like the baker, right, and you don't do your job correctly, or maybe you don't do your job correctly, or maybe you don't listen to the rules, or maybe you don't show up on time for work, or something like that, right? There's going to be a huge consequence that happens to you, okay? So that's how I'm going to relate this to you, all right? This way. Anyway, guys, thank you for your time. I will see you in 2 days, if all goes well, on the 15th, because it is on the 14th right now. I will see you on the 15th for, this will be Friday for, wait, is it going to be Friday? Yeah, because this one was for the this video was for the 13th. 14th is Friday, which is today, so 15th would be Saturday. Yeah. All right, so I'll see you on Saturday, if all goes well, sometime during Saturday for the next recording. Okay? All right, guys, be blessed and take care.